Hello, fourth grade class. Welcome back to Art Class with Miss Ross. This week, we're going to be creating a very dreamlike room. The room is going to have 3 dimensions, meaning it has length, width, and depth. We're going to create these dimensions using a vanishing point and a technique called one-point perspective. All of our lines will lead towards the vanishing point, creating a feeling of distance. So take a look at some of the examples I'm about to show. There's rooms with walls and ceilings and floors and a back wall. And then you're going to be coloring it in any way you like. And then the following week, you actually get to add photographs to it. So ask your parents if there's any photographs you are allowed to cut up to put funny things into your scene, maybe from a magazine or maybe from your actual photos. And you can put things in there to make it look surreal or dreamlike. So let's work on this for 2 weeks. Stop at part 1 and come back next week to do part 2. In this project, we are going to be creating a room. It's a space that has 3 dimensions, length, width, and depth. We'll create a square for the background, and the floor and the walls and the ceiling will all lead to that square. I'll teach you some techniques called one-point perspective, which helps with the tiles and the windows, but you're going to get to add some fun features to this picture to make it like a crazy, wild, bizarre, dreamlike room. So what is one-point perspective? Take a look at this picture. You see how there's one point in the middle of the page, and all the lines seem to be leading towards that point? That's one-point perspective. It creates distance. First, you need a shape that's either a square or a rectangle that's going to be the back wall. We're going to trace that right in the middle of your paper. So you could use a sticky note pad, and from those 2 corners will become the floor. This one's a little bit bigger, and I think I might end up using this. It's a coaster I have. I don't really like the rounded corners, but I'm going to trace this with a pencil right in the middle of my piece of paper. I think I'll come back in a moment and make those corners more of a 90-degree angle instead of a curve. So I'm just going to make this part up. But if you could find something around the house that you would like to trace, it should be about the size of a cell phone or smaller. It really depends on what size paper you're using. I'm using some computer paper, printer paper right now. The next thing you're going to need is a ruler or a straight edge. So I'm just going to find an envelope here and use the straight edge of the envelope to trace straight lines. If you have a ruler, that's even better. Go from the corner of your square or rectangle that you drew in the middle of your page to the corner of your paper. And you're going to repeat that 4 times from corner to corner. So now you have the floor, the walls, and the ceiling. And the square is the back wall. Put 1 dot in the center of that square, and that will become the vanishing point. Line up your ruler or straight edge to the vanishing point in the bottom of the paper, and you're going to trace the edge of the envelope or ruler, but notice you're not tracing inside the back wall, only on the floor. Try to make the same spaces on the left, see that's too big right there, as you have on the right. So I'm trying to make all of my spaces rather equal. What we're attempting to do here is create a tile floor. So all of the lines that are going away from us are all leading to a vanishing point. Always use the vanishing point every time you place down your ruler or your envelope. It must touch that same dot or this effect does not work. See how it's starting to look like a wood floor now? And all of the lines look like boards or a bowling alley. That's the effect we're trying to create. After we've done the lines that lead towards the vanishing point, now we need to draw some lines that are horizontal or even with the bottom of the square or the edge of the paper. I'm going to trace that right on my floor, not on the walls, but from the edge of the floor to the edge of the floor with a straight horizontal line. Each time I draw the next one, I want my space or my tile to become a little bit larger. This also creates an illusion. The larger tiles should be closer to us. See the really big ones at the bottom? Big, medium, small, tiny baby. They get smaller and smaller the farther back I go, and that is part of the illusion. Now I'm going to create a window, but I'm using my vanishing point again, and I'm drawing the bottom of the window. Using my vanishing point, I'm now drawing the top of the window. The sides of the window are going to be vertical, straight up and down, so I'm just going to connect those with a straight vertical line and do the same thing over here. That shape is actually called a trapezoid. It's leading towards the vanishing point and getting smaller as it gets farther away. I think I'll create another one on this other side. You don't have to do 2 windows. You don't even have to do 1 window. I would like you to try the tile floor though. That really does help the illusion. Now instead of connecting the ends of my windows, I'm going to keep it vertical and just erase the extra. I don't want it to be diagonal. I want it to be straight up and down. And then I might have to just fill in the missing parts there. There's a little missing part there. And then take my eraser and erase those extra long lines that I created. My eraser is not really working very well. All right, for the ceiling, I think we will do some boards. So we'll just make stripes, but use the vanishing point like we did on the floor, but we won't turn them into tiles. If you want to make tiles out of yours, you can. But I'm just showing you how you can do it as boards or tiles or both. Now I need to look and see if it looks even on both sides, the right and the left. I think I have a little bit more space over there on the left, so I'm going to squeeze in 1 more board. All right, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. Next, I think I'll erase my vanishing point. I don't need it any longer. I think I'll make up some curtains for this window. I'm going to make a cross in the window pane. So I'll start it right there in the middle. Make sure it's lined up to the vanishing point for this one. And then I'll make one in the middle going vertically. There's only one last thing to do for part 1, and that is to trace everything with a black marker. It doesn't have to be a permanent marker. Any black marker will do. And if you have any pencil lines still left, be sure to pull out an eraser and erase them all. Welcome back to part 2 of the video. Are you ready to finish your dream room? The first thing to do is decide which colors you want for the floor. I'm picking 2 different colors and I'm creating a 2-color pattern, like a checkerboard. I'm filling in with markers, a nice dark marker, and then I'm going to just rub over the whole thing with a light colored crayon. That saves a lot of time. Do the darker color first and then put the crayon on top. For the wall, I'm going to do a value scale, and value means the lightness or darkness of a color, so I'm going to press very hard to get it dark at one end of the wall and very gradually lighten up as I move to the other end. I think I'll make both of my walls with orange and green, but not exactly the same. I will repeat that value scale with orange on the other side too. That's kind of fun. Here I'm doing my ceiling with some yellow marker and purple crayon. I'm going to make a daytime scene outside one window and a nighttime star scene in the other. We're now ready to start looking for photos. I like the eyes. I think it might look kind of cool to have somebody's eyes peering through the back wall. I'm just looking through one of these mailing flyers that came today. That kid would be kind of cool. You never see a kid with a hat. Ooh, look at these little butterflies I can cut out and have them flying around the room. This is a very strange looking man. He might be cool in my dream room. And that guy. I found some old calendar page with cats on them. So if I'm going to cut out a square around one of these cats, it could be the back wall or back window of my room. Got to find just the right one. Ooh, that would look cool, jumping into the room. I love it. I'm going to cut out around the edge of my cat. Be very careful not to let any white paper show like that. That does not look good. Get rid of that. Cut away that white paper, being very careful not to chop off any important parts from your animal. And maybe you have an old calendar that you can cut up. Ask your parents before you cut anything up. You don't want to ruin something precious to them. Get permission. And then place it in your scene. We don't need to glue it down yet. We can decide whether it's going to be doing a handstand. That's kind of funny. Or looking out the window. It could be balancing on top of this strong man's body if I cut him out, like he's lifting him up. Not sure for now. I think I like this cat's head, and that's going to be looking out my back window. So I will trace that back wall around the head of the cat so it's exactly the same size and shape as the one that I drew. And now I'm going to cut around my cat's head very carefully and see if it fits perfectly in that back wall space. And now it looks more like a tunnel with a cat looking through the hole of the tunnel. Yeah, that's kind of cool. He's looking at what's ever happening in the room. And that little cat could be jumping in front of him. There's lots of possibilities. Nah, I don't think I like that one. I like him coming through this window, like there's no glass in there. Oh, I cut out the little man, and I'm adding him, but I don't really like the fact that he has no legs, so I may go look for some legs in the magazine and add that to him. There's some butterflies in here. I may move those butterflies around. Remember, you don't have to glue anything down to the end, and actually you never really do have to glue anything. You could just take a photo of it exactly where you want it and not have to worry about gluing it down. Sometimes gluing it is kind of messy. All right, I'm starting to like it. I still want some legs for that man though, just because I feel like he should be standing in the room. Well, as you can see, I found some legs in the magazine and I have my finished picture. It looks like very three-dimensional art with a nice space that's been created using one-point perspective. What a great dream room. I can't wait to see yours.